A sharp statement suddenly shook the MotoGP world when Casey Stoner openly voiced what many have been unwilling to say, defending Francesco Bagnaia while indirectly criticising the current direction of Ducati. This wasn't just another opinion. It was a powerful signal from a legend who once brought Ducati to the top and who now sees something inside the team that isn't working as it should. If even Stoner has spoken this strongly, is Ducati starting to lose its direction in how it treats its lead rider? Let's discuss. The 2026 MotoGP season is heating up again, not just in terms of speed on track, but also in defining the future direction of a major manufacturer. This time, the spotlight comes from a figure who carries serious weight, Casey Stoner. The former world champion who led Ducati to glory before the modern era has revealed something that shook the paddock. But this isn't just opinion. Stoner speaks like a surgeon, cold, precise, and rooted in personal experience. He's been in that exact position before, the centerpiece of Ducati's project. According to Stoner, Ducati is not questioning Bagnaia's ability. What has changed is the definition of leadership within the team. In today's era, where performance margins are razor thin, leadership no longer belongs to the fastest rider, but to the one who can best manage chaos. This is where the contrast between Bagnaia and Marc Marquez becomes striking. Bagnaia is like an orchestra conductor. He needs perfect harmony, a stable, consistent, and predictable bike in every corner. His speed is built on precision and near-flawless repetition. When everything works as planned, Pecco is almost untouchable. But problems arise when conditions change, when tyres drop off, grip disappears, or the bike starts communicating in a different way. At that point, Bagnaia's greatest strength can turn into a weakness. Marquez, on the other hand, operates in a completely different world. He's like a jazz musician, improvising in the middle of uncertainty. When the bike becomes unstable, he doesn't try to stop it. He uses it. When the limits shift, he doesn't search for balance. He pushes even further. Technical details have become the crucial turning point that is reshaping Ducati's development path this season. Casey Stoner highlighted that the latest generation Ducati Desmosedici GP26 has a rear-end character that isn't fully stable, especially in the closing stages of a race when tyre degradation becomes significant. This isn't just a minor issue. It directly impacts rider confidence under braking, throttle application, and maintaining rhythm in decisive laps. Francesco Bagnaia responded with a structured, engineering-driven approach. He pushed for changes to components like the swing arm to improve traction and stability, requested a stiffer setup to maintain precision under pressure, and called for a more linear engine mapping to deliver smoother control during acceleration. The objective is clear. Eliminate the problem at its root so the bike becomes more consistent across varying race conditions. Meanwhile, Marc Marquez has taken the opposite path. He doesn't see instability as something that must be completely eliminated, but rather as part of the bike's natural character that can be exploited. His focus isn't on removing the issue, but on managing it effectively. With an adaptive approach, he relies on his ability to read the bike quickly, make lighter setup adjustments, and maximize on-track feeling to remain competitive even in less than ideal conditions. For Ducati's technical team, this philosophical divide goes beyond riding style. It's about development efficiency. Completely eliminating a problem requires significant time, cost, and resource allocation. In contrast, managing the bike's existing character can be done much faster, even within the span of a single race weekend. In the context of an increasingly packed MotoGP calendar, further intensified by the introduction of sprint races and limited testing time, Ducati's decision starts to make more sense. Following the direction of a rider who can adapt quickly without demanding major technical changes is simply a more efficient path. This is no longer just about on-track performance, but also about short-term and long-term strategy in maintaining competitiveness amid mounting pressure from rivals. This is where Casey Stoner's analysis becomes particularly sharp. He observes that Ducati's system is slowly beginning to revolve around Marc Marquez. Not through drastic decisions, but through subtle shifts in priorities that gradually reduce the oxygen available to Francesco Bagnaia. Pecco's frustration has started to surface. But Stoner doesn't interpret it as a weakness. On the contrary, he describes it as telemetry in the form of emotion. In other words, Bagnaia's complaints are not mere protests, they are data. He knows what it takes to win, but increasingly feels unheard. The issue is further compounded by technical changes to the GP26, particularly in the front-end structure with increased carbon stiffness. This narrows the feedback window from the bike, something crucial for a rider like Bagnaia, who relies heavily on the subtle feel of the front tyre. As a result, the bike feels muted, and when a rider can no longer hear the bike, they begin to ride defensively, exactly as reflected in Bagnaia's performances this season. Ducati now finds itself at a critical crossroads, like choosing between a precise orchestra and an improvisational jazz ensemble. Stoner's analysis may sound simple on the surface, but it carries deep meaning. Bagnaia is a rider who creates perfection when everything is under control, when the bike behaves as expected and race rhythm remains stable. In contrast, Marquez thrives in chaos, capable of finding opportunities in uncertainty and turning difficult situations into advantage. The problem is, the 2026 season offers little room for the kind of stability Bagnaia depends on. With increasing pressure from Aprilia Racing and the inconsistent performance of the Desmercedesi GP26 across varying conditions, Ducati doesn't just need long-term solutions or deep technical analysis. They need something immediate, a differentiator that can deliver results even when the bike package isn't perfect. In this context, Marquez becomes incredibly relevant, offering something that data and setup alone cannot provide: the ability to create magic when everything feels out of control. However, directing bike development toward a single riding style is far from risk-free. Such a focused approach risks eliminating the diverse technical references that have traditionally been a cornerstone of Ducati's development process, as input from other riders becomes increasingly limited. As a result, the variety of development data, essential for finding optimal solutions across different track conditions, begins to shrink. Furthermore, a bike developed with an overly specific approach risks becoming too extreme. In the long run, this could create a machine that is difficult to control and inconsistent across varying race scenarios. If Francesco Bagnaia can no longer extract maximum performance because the bike falls outside his ideal operating window, Ducati effectively loses half of its own development potential. Stoner's core message is clear. Bagnaia isn't losing because he is worse. He's losing because the demands of this season are different. MotoGP 2026 is about surviving in chaos, and in chaos, Marquez is the king. The question now is, has Ducati truly made the right call by choosing jazz over symphony? Or are they gambling their future by sacrificing the balance within the team? Let me know what you think below,